Hello, folks. Hope you're doing well. It's 11:40 on the 4th of July 2020. This should be a fairly quick video. Time will tell. No idea how this is going to go. We'll find out when we get there, I suppose. This may have a few bits to it. We'll see. The starting point is when you forgive somebody for things they've done against you, etc., etc. Do you have to be friends or friendly or forbearing towards those people once you've forgiven them? Because then once you've forgiven them, they haven't really done anything against you, sort of thing. That can be the understanding. In the ultimate level of forgiveness, that is what you get to. That's how God forgives us, at least. When we're forgiven by God, our sins are washed away. So when we forgive others, their sins should really be washed away. Okay. Does that mean you've got to be friends with those people? Or friendly or forbearing? No. It doesn't. There are certain people who you're just never going to get along with. They're just not the right sort of person for you. Then they're not going to mix with your personality. You're going to find each other irritating. That's the truth of the matter, and that's not going to change. You can be in the same room. You can be polite. You should be always polite. And you can be friendly with them to a certain degree, I suppose. But generally speaking, if you make a decision to forgive someone, but along with that decision, you also say, I forgive you, but I don't want anything to do with you after this. We go our separate ways. We don't talk again. That's it. Then that's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. Because there are going to be people that you're never going to be friends with. But we have a life where we meet people all the time. And whether that be work colleagues, whether that be friends of friends, whether it be neighbours, whether it be social, not friends of friends, social systems, clubs that we go to, whatever. And we're going to meet thousands of people in a year. That's quite likely. We will have hundreds and thousands of acquaintances through our life, through work and through other things. It doesn't mean that these people are friends. If you go to a church, you have Christian brothers and sisters throughout the world, but you're not friends with all those people because you don't know them. Right? They're your brothers and sisters, yes, but you don't know them. You never met them. You're not friends with them because you've never met them. Now, with some of them, if you met them, you'd rather you hadn't. That's just the reality of the situation because we are all different. We're going to rub off against each other sometimes. That is a reality. So, just because you're supposed to be loving towards a brother or a sister, it doesn't mean you're supposed to be friends. It doesn't mean you have to be friends. It doesn't mean that, when you forgive somebody, that you've got to be friends with them or you've got to be buddies again or you start again in some way. No. You don't. Ideally, when you forgive someone, you forget what they've done. The problem is sometimes that isn't wise. Sometimes you need to remember what someone's done. If there's a pattern, you need to remember it because if there's a pattern, then it's probably not just a mistake. There's something about that is them, because it's a continuation of a pattern of behavior. And so that behavior may be seriously offensive to you. So therefore, understand that remembering that, forgiving it, not holding a grudge against the person, but remembering it because of the fact that you just want to remember that, me and that person aren't really made for each other. That's okay. You don't have to be. You don't have to be. When you forgive someone, you're not forgiving them for their sake, you're forgiving them for yours. You're not setting them free, you're setting you free. So therefore, it has really no relevance to your relationship with them. If you are going to continue in a relationship with someone, then when you forgive them, you need to forget. And the reason why you need to forget is because if you continually to remember the things they've done against you and you're in relationship with them, then that's going to cause friction continually. It's going to mean that you're going to be unhappy when you're around them. So if you're going to have nothing to do with someone, then it's okay to remember to a certain degree what they did. But if you're going to have that person in your life all the time, then it's best to forget. Otherwise, every time you see them, you remember that person is a pain in the ass in some way, or something else, whatever it is. You just remember it. And anytime something happens that's similar, you remember that person is like that. And then you really don't want to be around them, but you are around them. So that means when you are around them, you really want to be away from them. So forget. When you forgive, forget. Let it go. Or stop being around that person. If you can't let it go, then maybe you shouldn't be around that person. As I said in previous videos, there are billions of people on this earth. We're not supposed to be friends with every single one of them. We couldn't do it. In truth, if you are a human being and you reach to a good old age, and at that good old age, you have 4 real friends. Real friends. People that have been with you through thick and thin. People that have stood by you no matter what. For your darkest moments. You can be open and honest with those people fully. And then with you, you are incredibly fortunate. So the problem is a lot of people think, things like Facebook, you have, or Twitter, you have thousands of friends. No. Those people that you are friendly with on Facebook, most of them you've never met. If you have met, you may have met them once or twice. You're not really people that have anything to do with each other. I have friends on Facebook that I've met, that I last met about a year ago. Haven't met since. We'll probably not meet again. So my what we call stepbrother, I haven't actually seen him for at least 20 years. At least 20 years, possibly 30 years. And yet we're sort of friends on Facebook. Again, pointless. Pointless. We're not going to meet up. I don't think so. I'm not going to go down to meet up with him. He doesn't even see me as a brother. So, what on earth is going on there? There you go. That's what it is. Of course, we haven't seen each other in 30 years. We were never really brothers. He's got a different mother, same dad. So, we were never really brothers because I wasn't living in the same house as him, ever. Never did. So, it is what it is, isn't it? All that sort of Facebook friends rubbish, it's just rubbish. Work colleagues are work colleagues and not necessarily friends. Friends of friends aren't really friends, they're just acquaintances of friends. They're just people that you've met, people that you might even like, but you're not really friends with. As I say, just because someone's a Christian, it doesn't mean you have to be friends with that person. We're all at different levels of our Christian walk. And there be some people that are older that are still very, very new as a Christian. They may have even been going to church for 40 years, but they're still very, very new as a Christian. Partly because the church didn't actually help them to grow up. Partly because they didn't really want to. And of course, to a more mature Christian, then someone who is immature as a Christian can be a bit annoying. But then again, as an older Christian who is a bit dead, who's like a life support machine in your faith, when someone comes along who's new as a Christian and is full of life and full of faith and full of hope, that can be a bit annoying. You want to get away from people like that. You don't really want to be friends with people like that because they sort of show you where you are now and remind you of where you were, and that's not good. That's why often is the case, it shouldn't necessarily be the case, but often is the case that you don't really have friendships between people who are young and people that are old. Young tend to stick with young, old tend to stick with old. That's going to be the same with Christians and with non-Christians. Doesn't really make a difference. So remember, you forgive people for you don't forgive people for them. You can bless people for them, because when you bless people, that doesn't really impact you, but you hope it impact them. But when you forgive people, you set you free, you don't set them free. So if you want to have a relationship with people that you've forgiven, then forget what they did. So there you go. That'll do with that one. What the title should be on this one, I don't know. That'll do with that part of the subject. Let's see how far we are on this now. We can do it more. I went for a walk today, and long walk with doggies. I had 4 of them. And I was speaking to God about a few of the things that have been going on. And certainly about the fact that my dogs get harassed by a neighbour's dog. I'm just saying to God, look, I've asked you to protect my dogs. If you think that's what's called protecting my dogs, then how can you be considered as a good father? How on earth can you think you should be called a good father when you think protecting my dogs is allowing some other person's dog and that other person to allow their dog to harass mine? And it's continuous. It's been going on for over a year. Pretty much daily. I've asked God to deal with it, and I said to God, if I'm supposed to let you fight for me, then you have to fight for me. If you're not fighting for me, if you're not dealing with these situations, then I have to try and deal with it, because these poor dogs, they shouldn't be in that situation. Like today, Amber, we come back from our walk. Amber was accosted by that dog. He was over her. I called Amber. Amber moved a tiny bit. The dog then readjusted his position to stop her from moving. Now, the owner of that dog was sitting there watching all of that. Didn't care. Didn't care at all. No concern whatsoever. Eventually called the dog. When the dog sort of come over, didn't grab hold of the dog to keep the dog with her. No. It's always that token effort. I'm like, Lord, come on. You know, these are lovely creatures who can't really explain. The only way they can express how they feel about the situation is to snarl and growl at the dog, right? Which is probably just going to end up being a fight with that dog. So Chewie does that all the time. Chewie snarls and growls at that dog because the dog tries to stand over him, right? Trying to say I'm the boss, and Chewie's sort of saying sod off. You're not. So I'm like, God, come on. If you're supposed to fight for us, if we're supposed to let you fight for us so that we don't fight, then why are you standing there with your hands up, saying nothing to do with me? In terms of all the time you're standing there with your hands up, saying nothing to do with me. And as I said to God, come on, I'm just expressing this because of the fact that I'm trying to get it out. You understand that? I said, but even that situation with regards to the prophecy, you tell people you're going to sort the church out next year. We've been waiting for 20 odd years for this. You're going to sort the church out next year, right? You're going to give the people that have been in the way for 20 odd years another year. They've had 20 odd years to get out the way or get right with you, and you're going to give them another year. So basically, what you're saying to people, surviving is sufficient. You need the church to be doing better so that you can get things dealt with in your life. So maybe healing can happen, deliverance can happen, etc., 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 etc. It's all part of the church doing well. But I'm going to hold it off for another year. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to suffer. So a mass amount of people have to suffer so that a few get another year. It's like, Lord, do you understand? The frustration that comes with that. You're sort of saying that, but do you understand the frustration? Of course you do. You must know. You know everything about us. You know what's going on with us. You know the frustration that's happening. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the church to get right. And these people that made the church wrong, you're giving them more time. They've had all that time. You've got people desperate for any tiny bit of you, and you're saying, wait another year. So, okay. Well, that's what I do. That's how I try and distress. Just go and speak to God. Be honest with Him. Go and say things as they do appear, and then just let God speak to you about those things, because He will. He will. Lay it all out. Get it all out. Get it all off your chest. It's right, the word says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. But when it comes down to it, God doesn't seem to be looking after His children at all. At all. But that's the key. Doesn't seem to be. That's the key bit. Because you can't say, even with your own life, you can't say God isn't looking after you. You can only say God doesn't seem to be looking after you. Because that's the way it can seem at times. It doesn't mean that's the way it is. Yeah, so, oh yeah. You've got to unload. You have to do that all the time. Be real with God. Yeah. Tell God when He's done things brilliantly well. Praise God, absolutely. But when you're frustrated, go to God in the same way as you would if you're going to praise Him. Yeah, if He's a good Father, He will listen to you just as much for that as He will for the praise. So make sure you unload. That's one of the problems I was having before in that perfect little poo storm, is that I wasn't able to unload. Yeah, it just wasn't possible really to be able to unload from that situation because I was stuck in one place for a number of reasons. Certainly not having a driving license at that time, having them taken it away from me made things incredibly difficult. Didn't help out in any way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, it's what it is. These are the things we have in life. We have tricky troubles. We have situations where we look down. When we look down, we can't see God working. If you can't see God working, you must go to God and you must speak to God about that. You must get that off your chest because otherwise the devil will work on it. That's a reality. So get it off your chest. That will have to do for now. We're 20 minutes in. I've no idea what to call this one. To be honest, I can't even remember the first bit I was talking about, really. It's about when you forgive people, do you have to be friends, that sort of stuff. Unless I have a title that's about 100 words long, which you can't. You can only have a certain amount of words. I'll figure it out. You'll see the title when the video is uploaded. So, okay, you take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.